I mean,
The
'cause I couldn't
highlight
think of
stream.
anything. I couldn't even think of anything. I mean, sometimes I do it all the time. Like, I was like, oh, you guys want to see this? Have it. Have it. Ooh, what? Yo. Man, this is the kind of shit I be seeing, bro. I don't think it's a bad dance, but it's like, but watch this if you think you're not good at fighting games. All right, cool. Fighting games. All right, everyone should. Oh yeah, there's a guy. He does like input lag test thing.
Oh, like lag for like
Like a lot of
input
stuff
lag
fighting
or.
game. Yeah, yeah, and even online and everything.
Oh,
Guy's like
okay.
super, and I was like, he's talking about his setup right now. Like, got all kinds of motherfuckers. Especially you already know the big brain motherfuckers. I'll tell you how coding works.
Not gonna lie, people hype Rev 2 like.
Oh yeah, you seen the this is the same dude that was doing the combo trials and
Right.
everything, right? Funny, he actually rated me one time I was playing Guilty Gear.
Oh, really?
Yeah, shout out
Nice.
to this guy. But yeah, no, he's like a Guilty. He's one of the best Guilty Gear players. So if he says a combo card,
It's actually hard.
mm-hmm.
It's impossibly hard when it's not. I agree with that. 1,000%. I don't think it's that hard. Most people who play fighting games, the reason why they say it's hard is because they don't understand the game. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, leave a comment, show some love to the channel. You already know how it is.
I like using him, but I hate fighting him. The guile of fucking He dude, in BB Tag he was broken,
High
dude.
tier Eunice, I just hear a lot of things that he's not that great.
Oh, okay, he's just doing his thing, and then he. I don't speak. I gotta wait all day.
Fair enough.
That made me keep it. Man, what is? That's a good hair color, man. I don't know why I like it when I see alternate hair colors. I don't know about you. You prefer OG hair color or new?
I mean, like, so based on the original color skin or like an alt. I don't know, man. It really kind of depends on what it is. Like, if it's a really cool alt color, you know, or if it's a color combination that you really like, yeah. I mean, I'm usually going for the OG.
Fair enough. Yeah. I'm kind of
Like, if it's a different, like, alternate costumes, it's different because I'll pick whatever costume I like. But alt colors, like, usually default. alt.
Oh yeah. So let's about okay. So what games came out last month? There's somewhere I can think of where I can say I can see the list because I don't want to think we can talk about it last month. That's something.
I'm just trying to think. Some stuff that came out last month. What was last month?
Doesn't GameStop have like the place for like games that come out and all that shit?
Yeah, we can put out all that, like when before they release. But
well, right now I want to see like the games that came
how about
out.
that? What have you been playing recently?
Obviously, Scramble.
Of
Well,
course.
granted, they came out like 2 months ago, no?
Yeah, February.
I'm still counting that. Last month. Oh, was that last month? Right?
No, dude. We're on.
See, my conception of time is garbage.
We're on May. No, last month was.
Because I know there's a somewhere, man. Someone's gonna remind me where there's a list that shows you all the games like for every month.
Video game release date. 21.
Oh wait. I want ones that are already out. And
Go
then
back. Go back. You could just type in April 2020.
Oh, that's perfect. Right there, one of them I already seen it. Perfect one to talk about. I mean, if you know it. Wait, so did
Oh, this isn't.
God
Wait,
damn
what
it.
happened to the order? No, go back. I think. Back to
Oh,
April.
some of these that
Okay,
came out.
go down. April. Yeah, it's in order. Outriders, Oddworld. That's everything.
I mean, obviously. Let's start all the way to where Strikers is.
That was back in.
This is You know, it was in February.
That was in.
or 29, oh, whatever.
Oh, the Neo re-release for PS5.
Ah,
Yeah, that's probably what I was referring to.
Have you heard anything about Hitman 3?
I never really got into the Hitman series.
Like, yeah, for me.
It's weird because like the people that like Hitman, but the people that don't know anything about it don't tend to buy it. It's like
Right. Yeah.
it's
And
really.
it's a good game.
I mean, I don't doubt that for a second. I never got into it back on like their time frame. I mean, from what I've seen about it, it's very I want you to be very creative. Like,
yeah,
what-
yeah,
how
that's
you-
nice. To,
How you go about stuff.
but I mean, I have the first one somewhere in here, and I still need to play it right. But okay, not too much. But all right. Here's the funny. I would do. You remember that one time release like before when we were talking about Neo? I think like no cap. Don't you think this is one of the best release times when Neo and Doom 2 were coming out? They were around the same time frame, and even the Final Fantasy reimagine.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing: is like that. What usually for game releases now, the spring is like a huge period because the way it lines up not only with the fiscal year but with like tax season like that. All the big releases for games are now either in March time frame, anywhere from like March to May, or from September or as early as August, I guess if you will, to November. Like they pick like 2 times out of the year where they like just stack fucking everything, load it up. But it's weird because like the spring time frame has now become my favorite time of the year for a lot of game releases because weirdly enough, a lot of games that I personally enjoy really come out around that time. The end of the year is usually safe for your Call of Duty, your NBAs, you know, the sports, the generic stuff, like the, you know, the mass appeal titles usually, like, you know, will usually come out towards the later half of the year. Just to meet that holiday season deadline. Like it's all about business. Games released based on the business.
Right,
year.
but I feel like specifically that year and around that time period, like we never got that many such good bangers in such a short time.
No, we have. I mean,
Bro, tell me when. And then
I mean, I don't know. You know, once again, like that's just a recency thing, like recency bias. Like, yeah, it happened last year, and last year at that time, so pivotal for a lot of gamers because, like, thankfully we had some games to play at the height of this pandemic shit. So
did.
like it really did kind of click for a lot of people. And a lot of people had a lot more free time to mess with stuff. I remember going from Neo 2 straight into Final Fantasy 7 Remake, bouncing back between those. Animal Crossing also came out at that time.
See,
So like there was a lot of good game. Resident Evil 3.
Royal. Even though I
Um,
hate Royal. See, Rari 3.
Roy-
It's too much. Like you
there was a
gotta
lot. There was a lot.
And not only that, we had 2 of the best games of all time: Neo 2 and Doom 2.
Yeah. Eternal was crazy good. In terms of like what it.
Like I said, Neo 1 and Doom 1 were already great. Like they were 10 out of 10, and then the sequels went 12 out of 10. It's
Yeah,
like,
they
how?
really did.
How?
Just to get out, it was literally the perfect storm for gamers at that time. To be able to pick up those games. And that was before all the delays started to hit and affect studios.
And you know what's funny too? I actually like RE3 reimagining more than 2, and most people I know like 2 more than 3.
You know, I think people are really harsh on 3 for I don't really think any good reason. Because if you, I mean, me personally, the original Resident Evil 3 is the best out of all the original games. Personally, I like what it did for the gameplay, but in terms of like story, environment, I think people really remember 3 fondly for Nemesis and Nemesis Soul. I feel like he kind of like
Yeah,
really
no, he was
sold it.
he was the best part about that.
And but I think that especially out of the original 3 games, I think 1 and 2 were stronger. 3 was, I mean, I don't know if anyone knows about the development of 3, but 3 was kind of like a last minute in the original string of things. They weren't even that wasn't even the original vision for Resident Evil 3. Handle it and do it that way, and they were on time constraints to get it together. And so not that 3 is like a bad game in that regard, but like it's weird that the remake situation almost it really does call back to how the original 3 was constructed. Like, you know,
Right,
like
there was
it's,
the time to
yeah,
fix it.
it's like, okay, you got a tight deadline, you got to rush something. I don't want to say rush something out, but you got to get something to market relatively quickly. Piggybacking off the success of 2, you know, and the thing is that I think everyone was expecting 3 immediately after 2. There was a lot of pressure, I'm sure, on that development team to be able to do a quick turnaround. and condense 3 down to something that was digestible for the team to create, because it came out a year after 2. You don't really see something like that. Like, how long did it take us between 7 and 2's remake? Like, there was years of gap.
And you know what the funny thing is? I actually like, again, because they're, again, yeah. I mean, I told you before. I hate when people call them remakes. Imaginings. Like,
Right.
the only reason they did it was for 2 reasons, bro. People were actually making the remake of RE2 on Unreal Engine, and they seen that, and I shit you not. So they looked at that and still went, man, should we make a reimagining or remake? They even went and asked on people who were RE.net. I was a lawyer. I put it, and I even put a whole like thing and everything, and the community talked, and literally the Resident Evil fans, I know, because I'm proud that I have a part in that. We got a reimagining. I didn't, and the funny thing is, we wanted a full remake. Those are reimaginings, and the director said it because he was there and he knew, like, that's why he made the announcement, like, we know you guys wanted a remake, but we wanted a reimagining so we can be more flexible. I was like, he said that because he knew, I don't want to break your experience. It's not gonna be exactly like it, so and then it's like, that's fair.
Here's the thing: when you come back to a property, 10, 15, 20 years later, right? Its original work is what it is, and the development mindset for the title at that time was a completely different environment than you've got these guys that have had either years of experience with the series and who want to continue doing something with it, or you have fresh faces, fresh people working on the project all together. So it's like you'll never get that same thing that you got 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not. And realistically, it's better to capture the nostalgia of something more so than capture it 1-to-1. Because if you're looking for a 1-to-1, just go play the original.
Right. I mean,
you know.
And here's the thing too. I'm not exactly sure how it happened, but from what I know, I don't think there was like a DMCA takedown. But the around that time, again, the guys who were working on the remake, the actual remake for RE2, like, it was like in Unreal Engine, like basically RE2. Yeah. I think I heard that. I could be wrong, but from what I know, I think they did get some of those guys or help them out or something to do for the reimagining. But at that point, it was known as a remake. Not even
I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't know the logistics between, like, business wise how that worked out.
Right.
If those guys were compensated way. I mean, it'd be really amazing if Capcom to have given them an opportunity at anything.
Right.
Involving their in-house property that they own. You know what I mean? Like, other than some fans just working on something in their. And that's fine too. Like, the internet gives you that opportunity. And the thing is like, I know that a lot of companies crack down on their intellectual properties, but I mean, it's business, right? Like, as much as we're fans, like, there's a business side to the entertainment.
I mean, that was the biggest thing too. Who knows if they were saying, they were probably already planning the remake, and then like, we can't have it conflicting. So.
I think that's probably more in line. I don't think that they came out with the remake to be like, fuck, some other guys are doing it. I feel like they're like, hey, been already working on something, and these guys are coming along, and it's coming along faster than our project.
Yo, dude, it was.
They're probably like, you know what? We don't want to take away steam from the reimagining or whatever they want to call it, because the official title is still Resident Evil. Like, I don't.
No, that's why they called it that.
Yeah.
So they didn't. That's why they didn't put remake.
Right. Which is fine, but it's interesting seeing these games get remade. But then you start getting into semantics, whether it's remake or reimagining.
A remaster.
But, well, a remaster is literally taking the original and putting a fresh coat of paint. Whereas remake and reimagining, those words are so interchangeable, to the point where it's like, you're arguing over semantics at that point. But a lot of these creators don't want to, believe it or not, guys, they don't want the same thing already. True. As an artist, to have to like redo a work after you already felt it was complete for what it was, there's a difference in having something that was a completed project and you were satisfied with it versus something didn't go as far as you wanted it to and you might want to revisit. Resident Evil has like that fucking long ass history, right, where you've got all these numerous entries that tie into each other, and there's so much lore. To the point, there's so much lore in some of these games to the point where it's like even the fucking developers and creators don't remember everything they've fucking done.
You're not wrong.
And so there will be inconsistencies and there's conflicting things in canon. So it's like, so it's easier when you're going as far back as the second entry in your franchise. But you know what? Fuck, we don't want to be tied down to everything that's attached to it.
Yeah, that's the main reason. And I
Let's
respected that.
let's do a reimagining of it, if you will.
And that's the thing I want to stress. I do not hate on the reimagining. I like it, and I just hate when people like stop calling it a remake.
Eh,
The director himself says that.
yeah, but like as I said, you're just arguing semantics.
Yeah, and I'm a bitch, so
You
fuck
know,
it.
but I mean, it's just like, who cares? Because
I care.
the people that are saying remake, right?
Yeah, they're just
they-
they don't know better.
They know it's not
A true
literally
remake,
a 1-to-1 version of 2. They know that. They know that. So it's like you got to be a little, but people just don't.
Nah, I am, and the problem is when they try to force it down.
Now,
guys'
my
throat.
question for you is, what is your opinion on this supposed them going back and reading?
Oh, okay. So this stuff got leaked. So they are doing the VR thing, but I think that got announced. The whole
Yeah, that did.
And here's what it is. Like they are working on the RE.
I was about to say, now, do you think that, because my impressions were, I wonder- no, well, no. I was thinking well, I wonder if this VR project is what was people were talking about as a revisiting of 4, or do you actually think that they're full on remaking 4 in the style of the reimaginings of 2 and 3?
And that's the thing, right? With the whole VR thing, like that came in, and when we were looking at the leaks, I don't think we saw RE4. I don't know. I have to look back at it actually, but let's see. I think I.
I mean, it's a lot of fan speculation. I mean, it'd be interesting.
And that's
to
the
see.
thing, because it is basically confirmed that they are doing it. But then my question, it seems more than likely they're gonna do a reimagining, and even most people are agreeing like it's probably gonna be a remake. And again, that's why that's when the word does matter. Then we actually know, like, is it gonna be a remake, or a remake? And this is a consensus I've seen from most people. For me, if it's a reimagining, I'm okay with it, because think about it, if I'm already that butthurt about 2 and 3, 4, it's like whatever. I'm done being butthurt.
But here's a fantastic example. Whereas like you go on saying that the Capcom, well, here unless you're actually a native speaker, the localization of what the director could have been saying, I mean, they might have just context is calling it a remake. Because here's the flip side of that: Final Fantasy VII, imagining that remake.
Yeah, I found that one.
So
weird.
that's why I'm like getting hung up on the roots of the words is kind of like irrelevant. They both mean, like, it's a re-envisioning of an old property.
Right. At the
like,
core, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a remaster. A remaster would be, as we've already stated,
fresh coin.
that's the 1-to-1. But this is completely different. Here's another one. Recently, the Nier Replicant 1.22, blah 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 blah.
Isn't that one like a remaster? But
No,
it's a reimagining
it kind of blurs some lines. Like it's
in between.
it's like a remake and a reimagining. It took the original content, it worked the combat to be more
I think Yakuza
appealing.
kind of did the same.
For modern gamers. Like it took some elements from Nier Automata and mixed them into Replicant. But here's the interesting part: when I was playing through it, like, holy shit, it captured the most important thing. It captured the nostalgia perfectly. It while playing it, I could tell you I haven't played the original in over 10 years, or I feel like it's been 10 years. But the point is while playing through it, I was like, holy shit, I feel like I'm playing the same game. It didn't feel like I was playing anything different. And then I looked at some of what the differences were. I'm like, holy shit, they changed a lot. But it just feels better.
You know, and that's the thing I would have been okay with, like with RE2, because the thing to me, the thing that bothers me about that it being a reimagining isn't the fact that they reworked the game third person, it's the story. Like if they kept the story exactly the same in the beats and everything, but just gave the gameplay perspective of RE4, then that's kind of in between, because the gameplay itself is not the same, but a lot of the other stuff is the same.
But I feel
And
like
it feels true to the game, like it does.
But
That's
here's
why
the,
I like the
here's
game.
the thing about the reimagining is that this goes back to the 7 conversation, when you had the game development restriction that existed for when they did it, right? PlayStation 1 couldn't.
Right.
So certain either narrative elements or presentation of the narrative was a different way back then. It led you to infer some stuff on your own. It gave you explicit details. Because honestly, if looking back on it, the story, are bones.
Right.
Like, but when you get to this reimagining, right, they're like, oh, they can flesh out so much other stuff or present stuff in a more interesting way.
They didn't flesh stuff too much, but they did present it
in a different way.
That's fine.
You know, and it's like, oh, I mean, because you still had the main story beats there. You had William Birkin, you had the Sherry, you had Leon,
Right.
you had Ada, you had all the key characters, and most of their motivations I think a character they probably, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, if they expanded on a little bit more, Birkin's wife, I feel like had a much more.
Funny thing, well, and that's the thing because people forget that Darkseid Chronicles existed. That one actually expanded a lot more.
But here's the thing: is then that gets you, and what I think that this reimagining did, it was like, okay, fuck the side material. Let's look at 2. Let's look at Resident Evil 2 for what it is, not the extended continuity that spawned from Resident Evil. Let's look at the base elements in Resident Evil 2. Let's remix and rework and use that as like, because like when you start, and that's what I was going into earlier, when you start going into like the extended continuity of a property where all these other hands have been in the pot, adding stuff to it and mixing things around, the continuity starts to get kind of fucked from the
And here's the
in-house
thing.
thing.
Here's the funny thing. I feel that they actually took it from just Darkseid Chronicles because literally how the story, how the background, dude, they took it pretty much from like Darkseid Chronicles and put it in their own.
Which is really cool because it's like, okay, and here's the flip side of that. There's the benefit of that, right? So when you have this entire expanded universe of something, and one thing I can say, just to illustrate my point a little farther, debating on how you feel about the Marvel Cinematic franchise as a fucking comic book fan, or if you just appreciate it from the film standpoint. But one of the things that I've more or less taken from people that are diehards that actually enjoy both mediums, the fact that they like that they take core elements, right, from all the extended continuities and blend them and mix them in a way that's like, it's like you can make reference to a lot of stuff and at the same time, yeah, take the points that you like about these different things and really kind of mesh it together.
No, they do that pretty well. My only hate is like for Marvel specifically. And same with, this is my biggest beef with both of them is they like they'll do that, right? Like the thing is they'll only do it as a reference. They almost miss the key thing of what made those like Marvel, like let's be real, Marvel needs to be rated. It's not a kid's thing. Marvel's way too dark and deep. It's an honest
but
reality.
I don't agree with that because you got to think about it. The people that grew up with Marvel, that where its core audience came from, were kids.
They were teenagers actually. They were rated
Man,
like P14.
no,
bro.
dude, they were fucking kids, man. And here's the thing: is that the medium aged with its audience, right? So like,
I mean, you're not. Okay, here's the thing: it was intended for teenagers, but obviously kids were.
I'm talking. I'm not. You know. Yeah. I mean, teenagers, kids. It's like
Same shit.
it really is the same thing. But like when you look at Golden Age comics, fucking Superman's like first fucking issue.
Oh,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
no, yeah,
Like,
that.
The superhero genre started with kids. It's just a
Of course,
medium
yeah.
that aged with its audience and tries to, you know, that's the thing about something. When you're trying to stay relevant, you try to appeal to the age group that's relevant at the time. So, you know, you want to appeal to young adults. Well, guess what? That's where you're, you know, it is what it is. And I think obviously Disney having its hand at Marvel is that you know makes it a separate conversation. Just to tie it back to the video game, to get it back
Right.
with the Resident Evil thing. Like, I think the reimagining of 2 and 3 are fine as they are. If you look at them as 2 parts of the same puzzle, you know, like you're putting both of them together in this.
You know, and now here's the thing I said. One thing they did do good, like they already took like the thing I like is they like that's the thing that throws me off so much about the reimagining. A lot of it is done really good. Like even like the whole Tyrant thing, like in the original one, he's not in the first playthrough, but in Darkseid Chronicles, he's a huge component. Like that's what I'm telling you. I feel like they look more at Darkseid Chronicles how it told us because it was very cinematic and everything. Like,
Right.
oh, let's take a lot of the beats gameplay wise from RE2, but let's take all the cinematic stuff from Darkseid Chronicles.
And that's fine. But when you have all that to pull from, you can do really cool creative stuff.
Right, but again, I think but here's the thing that I didn't like about the directing. Again, maybe a personal thing, but why he changed the story, and even the writing, and even there are for fans that agree with me too, like with Claire, for example, like the way she speaks and everything, like it sounds like a generic white girl person. Like he doesn't say his words, he changed the dialogue and everything. Oh, it was very unrealistic. It's unimmersive or this or that. And I was like, dude, I never got unimmersed hearing the cheesy. Even someone made a case why we like the corny dialogue. Like, bro, when you're about to die, yes, you're gonna say some weird shit. That's why it never felt unimmersive to me.
But and that's the thing. It's like it's hard when something has such a established like a very established like profile of like okay, you know what OG wrestling. Yes, the corny and weird goofy of it is part of it, but at the same time it wasn't really a lot of that was bad localism.
Right, and the thing, Dark Side Chronicles rolled with
acting.
it and improved it.
Yes, but like, all right, they were like, okay, if we could take a more serious, like something that takes itself seriously more often, and that's what I feel like the remakes, and I think that goes in line with Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7, I think, really kind of spanned into the remakes of 2 and 3. Like, if you look at them as a group of games, collectively, they share a lot of elements. If they try to be more grounded in realism in a way, like they try to be a little bit more, is it just grounded? Like, it's not so much of the weird, quirky, over the top Resident Evil, the crazy shit that we're used to, right? From all the games. I mean, look at something like, as a separate analysis, look at a game like 4, just to cluster them together. Look at 4 and 5. Compare that to the 2 and 3. It's a fucking different universe. Like, it's just a different universe. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different.
And here's my thing, right? Because I feel like it's all consistent. Because people were saying like it was like, oh, Resident Evil became actiony. Like if you look at 2, you see some action. 3 action. Like it's all still there. Like
I mean, it's like, I think that everybody's both right and wrong. At the end of the day, I feel like everybody, because like, if you like the original, and I think that people just fucking forget this. If you like the original, if you're a fan of the original, no matter what these studios do, they can't take. You have those games to reflect on and enjoy. Like the corny voice acting, you like Jill Sandwich, fuck it, that'll be with you forever, right? It doesn't matter if they don't make reference to it, or if it's a Easter egg in a game and not focused on it. They don't say, like, that's not. But when you're looking for like the reimaginings of 2 and 3, it's like, okay, I want to see these environments in a different light. I want to be able to see what they can do with the current modern approach to game design. And if you look at it as its own separate thing, I don't want to say separate from I don't want to say separate from the whole, because yeah, you want to look at all the parts integrated together. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, this is cool. You just appreciate it for what it is.
no, I mean I do,
You know,
right?
and I know you do. I know you do. I'm more or less speaking to the general perspective of, I know a lot of butthurt people online, you know?
I mean, and the thing is, like most people, it's from they're there for other weird reasons. Like only the people who are like me in my position, like we do like the game, but we have pet peeve. And again, Claire doesn't feel. And dude, I actually talked to Kodocore, the professional female Tekken player, right?
Okay.
And me and her agreed. We're like, Claire just doesn't feel like Claire, but Leon feels fine. Like he still has some of his quirk. Like you could still have your down to earth. Like to me, we were talking like, dude, Resident Evil never felt down. And even with the quirk, you can get rid of it, whatever. And they made a nice reference with Leon. But to me, it's like the lore. Like here's a good example. You want to know why John Romero's script got cut for Resident Evil, because he wrote the script.
Yeah, we briefly talked about this.
Because he killed off Wesker. The way he killed him off meant he was permanently dead, and Capcom basically looking like bring him back, so we can script. That's what I think one of the and the reimaginings do that religiously. There's a lot of again, you know, the whole continuity, and again, that's why so the director, he said that it is 100%. He literally said it specifically because like I don't want to have to, because he knows about the lore.
No one wants it. Here's the thing: is
He
when
didn't
you
want to get
work,
constricted.
when you want to have a project and you want to work within the universe of something, and you're like, fuck, you're staring down the barrel of a gun of all this history behind the project. You're like,
Right.
I'm gonna piss somebody off.
Right.
No matter what I do, I'm gonna piss
and
somebody
I respect.
off.
And then here's the thing: I respect that. I have no hate on that, right? But for me, it's like this is where I'm at, right? Like I hate 7. Village is gonna be garbage. I don't care what anyone says. 2 and 3, I like them. They're fine games. They're fun. I mean, here's the thing: they did great respect with the zombie. No, at least I'll give him respect. He went and did not fuck up the zombie. Like here's the thing about Capcom: they do really like the want to know what the development team for Monster Hunter did to the director, right? They don't care. Okay, the movie may be bad, but do one thing right: make sure the monsters look big. And he did that right. He got the liquor background right. Everything. He's like, the story, all of it's not canon, it's bullshit. These aren't the real. But
zombie, it has to look like Resident Evil.
Yep, and
that's
the gameplay,
the most important
and the gameplay, no bullshit. The gameplay, like every Resident Evil game should play like this. Like
yes.
The story, please we just have exactly RE2, but with this gameplay. That's all I want.
See,
that's all I want.
I guess because I appreciate Resident Evil. I call myself a fan. I'm not a diehard.
No, it's not like you like it. That makes you
but
a fan.
I really do enjoy the series. My brother got me into it. I fucking love it. But in terms of like the minor details of the story, like this character maybe got mentioned too soon, or maybe they shouldn't have included this one-off in a memo. Like, ooh, that's kind of sus. Like, why would they do that? And you're really kind of just browbeating it. You're just like, fuck. Like, well, do those minor elements affect the grand story overall? I think that for what the reimaginings of 2 and 3 did, as just establishing, reintroducing 2 and 3 to the a wider audience,
It's fine.
I
Yeah.
think it's fine.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
Like,
no.
could you play? And here's the crazy part: could you play the remakes of 2 and 3, and then go play modern day Resident Evil 4?
Oh, totally.
Like,
no,
yeah, and
absolutely.
guess what? You don't miss a fucking story beat because 4 goes and
Right,
does its
it's its
own
own thing,
goddamn
right.
thing. So
And the thing is, for the most part, most games you really can. Only when you pay. The thing about the lore is that it's something you really appreciate when you look in the background, and you only get lost if you play like the spin-offs. That's when you start getting lost.
That's when you start going down that fucking wiki rabbit hole where you're clicking link after link after link.
In Resident Evil 6,
you know?
it wasn't. The problem with it is it tried doing that, but the problem is the main story was just all over. So when you hear lore stuff, you're like, none of this makes sense.
It's just shallow. It's just
And
like,
that's the funny thing. Resident Evil 6 got one thing right. You want to know what it, besides the gameplay? You want to know what it was? Zombies. The RE6 has some of the best
Yeah.
zombies in the entire series.
it does, but you really only get zombies when you're playing Leon's. Like,
Here's the thing. The Plaga, those are zombies.
yeah,
No, and here's the thing. I don't want to bullshit you guys. If you can find it, please do me a favor. There's a video that actually labeled what exactly is zombies, and he even broke down the definition of zombies, basically mindless, like, because we all know from the
right.
Haiti.
No,
And-
I don't. Yeah, right.
And
right,
that's
right,
literally
right,
so.
right.
He was right. He realized, oh, here's a zombie. Oh, like the necromorphs. It's like, oh, he's right. Those literally are zombies.
I really think that the thing about Resident Evil is that I think people have to detach is the fact that it's really is. I hate to be that guy.
It's not.
It's not a zombie It's, if you even the Japanese title of the series,
Biohazard.
Biohazard. It's literally
A biohazard.
bioweapons. That's all they are. They're not. If you start getting and trying to just narrow Resident Evil down to this is a zombie genre thing, it really falls apart. Because like,
I mean, to me, I still call it a zombie.
you can, and I'm not saying you can't. It's definitely got
but
its
in a
roots
traditional
there.
sense.
Yeah, but in a traditional,
Absolutely.
it's not. It doesn't. But the fact that Resident Evil can be so broad to having all these other different things going on that's not just zombies. Because like you might think of it like I know maybe some people are like looking at Village and they're like, vampires, werewolves. The fuck does that have to do with? It's got everything to do with it.
I mean,
Like,
here's
you know,
the thing.
you know, it can be
Here's
whatever the
thing
fuck
with
they
it. I
want.
don't like it because like it feels too like they're trying way too hard to be like a horror game. But lore wise, I feel like I'll give 7. Is like they're kind of, I don't know, like I just don't know the direction, but
Like-
they are still trying to not stray too off from like the
Right,
bio
right. But here's the thing: it's like in 7, you don't fight a single fucking zombie. There's no zombies in 7.
Yeah, the
The
monsters.
molded, it's all mold like creatures, right? Well, they serve the same purpose as zombies, as mindless things that you're fighting and killing that narrate and
And here's the
know.
funny thing. Here's the funny thing the guy said. There are technically non-zombies in RE. Here's the question. Did it come from a person? If the answer is yes, it's a zombie. So molded, the question is big molded, those are zombies. Things that move around, those are not zombies. But that's the technicality.
right. But
And I'm only saying, that's the thing, that's how we are as the hardcore of the audience. Like, we're like, it's all zombies unless it's a specific thing. Like, oh, those are just parts. And, there's a whole biology in everything.
yeah, no, there's so much shit, and then
And even in the game, they do refer to the other ones,
They
like,
do.
as zombies. They actually do refer to them as that.
I mean, but my point overall is the fact that it's.
But I
it's,
get from the
it's
traditional
a very
point.
broad scope of
Right.
the definition of fucking.
And
zombie.
this is the reason why Resident Evil, in my opinion, and even other people agreed. Even John Romero said like why specifically Resident Evil was so good. Like they not only captured so good what he did, they actually innovated and grew. And there's no other one that you can say. Again, Dead Space was heavily influenced, and that's why they are just as good. They went, let's look at the thing at zombie and how can we make this right.
And it's,
Necromorph, literally like
Well,
those are
what they did with Dead Space is they also went with a more Lovecraftian, like cosmic horror approach to things, but mixing in that traditional idea of like zombies, like that. They took it. And the thing about any of these horror franchises, the thing about anything that's been long established, like something so simple as zombies. Whenever a big property does it, or whenever any creative like license or whatever gets a hold of it, got to do something interesting. I mean, yeah, you could just feed people zombies and they'll eat that up, but
yeah,
like,
they will.
I mean, that's fine.
And that's why I like because they get pushed the envelope. Like
Yeah.
again, I look at Tyrant, Chainsaw Dude, I'm like, yeah, those are zombies. And I'm like, nah, bro, these are advanced zombies.
But then here's the thing, and you look at something like I don't remember its name, but the fucking snake in Resident Evil 1. Not a zombie.
Technically,
the
yeah.
giant snake. I mean,
It's if it's infected, the thing is, if
But-
it's infected and it's taking control over something else, it's zombie because you don't have control of your own body.
I mean,
That's why I said that's the technicality.
I guess, but I mean, zombie more or less refers to undead.
Yeah, and the thing
But
is,
the thing is, like, They're
that's
not dead yet. You know what I mean?
and that actually, that's the other thing the guy went into the video too. I wish I could find it and show it because he does such a good job. I'm not the best, right? And I don't want to sound like
right.
Because even I went by that. Like I was thinking if I should consider, because I was thinking about it, taking it from a guy who looked at Resident Evil 4. I don't think I because no. When the plaga takes over, you die before they basically.
Well, the Las Plagas takes over the host and effectively killing the host.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's a reanimated body. It's a reanimated corpse.
And
with,
I agree with you. And that's when I realized Necromorphs. And that's what I like because he's like Necromorphs. You don't think about it, but they really are like you won't find.
It's a
anyone that are.
reanimated corpse,
And it's like
you know. But that's the thing about Resident Evil is most of the time whatever's infecting you is effectively killing you and replacing you.
Exactly.
And that's fine. And as I said, in that sense, yes, it's a zombie. I'm fine with that. But then you have like, all right, here's another example: the plant boss.
Oh yeah, no, that's not a zombie.
But here's the cool thing: is it's another life form infected with the T virus, and you get to see how that affects other forms of life. And I like how the remake of 2 goes into that with those other like tree infected.
Like I said, when it comes to the lore of the creatures, they actually did an amazing
No,
job.
there's a lot of cool stuff to uncover there.
Right. We don't want to go too much
Right.
off, but and again, like I said, it's not just being a dick; it's just being alleys and everything. And I'll say people like, yeah, there are some things that aren't. Like, and here's the thing that I like: that one thing that proves that there's zombies. Like my friend tried telling me that Licorice and zombies. Like no, literally Licorice. Even in RE2 did the.
No,
And
they're zombies.
You know what's crazy that I'll give RE2 props because remember, here's the thing: the original directors are gone for RE2, and so that's why the story is
They've
different.
long since been gone.
But a lot of core people who worked on the game are there, and that's remember the boards. That's something they actually wanted in the original.
Yeah,
They
but
brought back a lot of features they wanted. In
there's
the original.
and that's the thing is when you get to reimagine something, you get to go back to the drawing board and look at like another example, the alternate outfit for Claire where she's got like the racer uniform.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, yeah, because that was a whole different concept. But the cool thing is when you reapproach something years later, as I said, you could look at all the extended continuity, you could look at all the stuff that you wanted to do, and just because if you include all that stuff, yes, it's going to make the end result different. It has to. It can't be the same but have the new stuff in it. That doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, I think that people who really care can gain another appreciation for something as a reimagine. Because as I said, the source material doesn't change. Like, you want to go based on the original continuity, but at the same time, as I already illustrated earlier, all right, well, you could play, I don't care if you play original Resident Evil 2 or original Resident Evil 3, or you go play the remakes of Resident Evil 2. The experience of 4 doesn't change. Because it doesn't make reference to shit. Like, it's its own separate thing.
I mean,
And then 5 continues with that.
and you know the thing I feel like again 2, like I would have been okay. The board thing, it doesn't really change the lore of anything.
No.
Right? I would again personal preference, just keep this story exactly the same. And then you want to want to have Leon Dix, like doesn't matter. It doesn't change the story. Like do whatever you want to the gameplay.
Now,
It's because I love the lore. That's all it is.
but now, like here's where you I guess you can make a bigger stance for a rematch. Like if say hypothetically Leon was like an Asian guy, you know, like then you're like, well, why is he Asian?
I mean, I
Like,
guess.
I'm not saying inclusion is bad, but it's
right.
when you just change shit for the sake of changing shit,
Yeah.
that's when it gets bad.
Yeah. True.
If you start editing lore and implications of cool stuff and you just change it because you just think it's edgy and cool, or did something, the question you have to ask yourself, does something have to be changed because we're going in a new direction, or do we just want to change it to separate its identity from
Right.
it gets all so dicey when you start thinking about it that way.
True.
Same time frame, the Final Fantasy VII remake. That's a divisive ass thing. And I have a fond appreciation of the original. Why? Give a shit? Oh. And does that make me any less of a fan? I wouldn't say so. I mean, what do I care that the experience in the remake is vastly different than the original? They're different fucking games, people.
Yeah, they are.
They're just different fucking games. Like, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody that hasn't played it or has plans to play it, but let's just say the ending of remake is completely different than the ending of the Midgar section. But it fucking had to be. It had to be different. why would we get that same exact ending from something that's a different entity? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel for like for 7 it made it come.
I thought it
Like
was
you said,
fine. I thought it
at
was
the end of the
fine.
day, I mean, for me, it's like again, that's why I stopped being not heard about anything about the reimaginings. Like I can still play RE2 and 3, and it's all like. And here's the thing, the reimaginings aren't canon. I can sit here and live in peace that my
I
canon
mean,
didn't
it
get
almost
ruined.
doesn't. I mean, does it matter if they are, if they aren't? Because
To me, it does.
I mean, here's the thing though. It's like, how can a remake or reimagining be part of the canon? How do you retroactively change the canon?
Right.
You can't. You just create a new canon. So it's whatever.
And even then, a good point that someone said to me, which got me less upset about the whole how he looks at the Marvel Cinematic, and he loves the comics, right? He just says, "I just look at it as a different universe." I'm like, fuck. Technically, you're right.
You know how free your mind becomes when you don't have to tie certain things to so much other shit.
And even then, it's like, because even in Marvel's Capcom 3, it's actually confirmed that Marvel and Capcom have multiple.
It's just it is
There's
what
a
it
universe
is.
where Mega Man and Mega Man X and Zero are actually one being. So it's like, then I went and said, wait, technically that means the reimaginings are canon. Just
Hold
in a
on.
different
Here's
universe.
another one. Tell
Fuck.
me what the hell Ryu and Chun Li have to do with Power Rangers? Yet they're in the new Power Rangers.
Well, that's just like a crossover game.
yeah, but in the comics they've written it out and everything. Yeah,
See,
the
okay,
whole thing.
okay, even that, like, even if it's not like, I just can't help but appreciate when they go and put out that much.
And
That
that's
I
cool.
just
That's
appreciate, I'm
cool.
not
But
even gonna
if you start looking at it as separate entities to the whole bigger picture of
lie.
stuff,
It is easy.
you just stop getting upset about the little
Yeah,
things.
true.
You
You're
know.
not wrong. I mean, with the whole Street Fighter Cross Tekken thing, I mean, it's like I'm even confused by that shit because do no care the way Street Fighter Cross Tekken did, it set it up for Asura's Wrath. I'm not even bullshitting you.
But tell me why Asura's Wrath, like, can I get more of that? I really want more of that. What, dude?
Like, here's the thing, right? Ryu's ending, he gets Pandora's box, then he disappears. We don't know where he went. The next thing we know, in Asura's Wrath, guess who appears? It's like, did they just make Cross Strike?
Yeah,
What?
they did. They definitely
And at that
did.
point, I'm like, I don't even care if it's bullshit. That's just sick. I
But
get to fight Ryu.
Can I get the Street Fighter prequel with the Ashura connection at the end? Like, I want that.
I mean, and that's the part. Yeah, it's like I said, that's why I don't get so. But it's only certain again, like the remake, reimagining, only because I'm just a nerd. Everything else, I'm like, that's why I like.
Right. Like,
And again, I don't, dude. I own that bitch. That game's my bitch.
but here's the thing: if you don't like Ashura's Wrath, you have to accept it as Street Fighter canon. I don't think you. I mean, if you're not a fan of Ashura, you fucking hate the game, hate everything that is.
I don't know who the.
I'm just saying
Right.
hypothetically, and it takes place so far into the past of the universe of quote unquote Street Fighter. Do you really have to care if it's canon at that
No,
point?
I don't think you have to.
No,
care.
because like no Street Fighter game has made mention to Ashura's Wrath.
Right.
It's the other way around. It's to flesh out and expand upon some shit.
Right.
You know, so it's like, yes, it's canon, I guess, but do you have to care if it is? No, you don't. And that's fine.
And the thing is, there's a good video again, just to end it off, is that why canon matters is because some people like. I think what separates again mature media isn't just because you include, like, he made a good example, like what makes something mature. We talked about it isn't just having drugs, alcohol, sex. It's like it's the mature themes and everything. And the thing about canon is that having a consistent for adults who like to have thinking not just this and that. Because if you look at a lot of kid shows, they don't care. You don't have to care about continuity. That's why they always be right.
The thing about kid shows is like literally every episode or like mid episodes, it's like a different thing going on.
Right.
You know, it's not like, okay, fucking, I like watching Dexter's Lab. Is Dexter's Lab have like a fucking, like, in-depth continuity about how each part of it strings together? Fuck no. It's just fun television, right?
Right. And again,
You
look
know?
at Persona, right? Like, it's all nice that we know 3, 4, and 5 are connected. And then when they want to do the crazy stuff, it's very literally a spin-off. It's not canon. And that's okay. My thing is not against, like, spin-offs and stuff. It's just, it's very nice to have a main line continuity because then it's just, I don't know, I just like thinking. I like being a person who actively thinks in their media.
A friend of mine, who's really big into the comic space, and all about the Marvel thing, DC and all that cool. All the comics, he runs a comic shop, he fucking reads all the comics, he watches the movie. He has an appreciation for it all, right? Just as a general fan, he loves the movie. And he was telling me one thing, because we were talking about the Disney shows, and he was like, the Disney Plus shows, and he's like, well, here's the thing, like, whether you watch the show or not, right? The next movie is happening. And don't make that next movie that includes those characters. Are they going to make reference to the show? He's like, not. But the show is for people who want that deeper look into like how certain elements got put in place. If you want to watch it, cool. Don't fuck it. If you want to watch the movies and that's all you're about, you don't have to watch all the extended. That's there for the people. that's fine. It's a fine approach to that. You could take that same mentality with spin-off game, right? Hypothetically, Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and
Funny
so
thing
on.
is, three's a spin-off too. It's not even the real
Right.
one. It's called Veronica.
So, like, you can look at it you can look at it from a chronological standpoint, and you can play those games sequentially in order, without looking at any of the extended lore, extended continuity, and your experience ultimately isn't altered. Like, you can just play them all start to finish, and just
Right.
like you could play 1, finally get to 5 by the time you get to it, and you're like, oh my god, Chris Redfield, I can play as him again.
Right.
And you're like, oh man, I remember how he was in 1, but does Resident Evil 5 make any callbacks to 1?
Not really.
Not really, outside of just,
Right. No. Exactly.
you know, it's like Wesker and Jill are there. All right, but if you don't know the history of those characters, you can still enjoy the game.
Yeah, no,
You know?
and again, that's the thing. It's like the thing about canon and stuff is it's having it in the background, even with the spin-offs and anything. Like again, it's perfect. You put it well put, right? Like my thing is when you retroactively go and fuck those people, actually go and invest that time. That's why people had beef with Star Wars. With they say, oh, the comics aren't even canon.
But yeah, dude, that's like
that to get that.
like you have like 30 years of like books and comics,
and that's why I'm 50.
and Disney was like, hey, by the way, guys,
Fuck you.
none of that shit, man. You don't really care. Like, we're doing our
And,
own thing.
and the thing is, for Capcom, I feel like they're drawing that line. That's why I'm like, I'm not completely, but I'm like, you know, it's just that's how I feel uneasy about
But
it.
the thing is like
I just feel uneasy.
I don't feel that with these remakes that they've ditched their roots. I don't really feel like that's like.
like I feel like there hasn't been a mainline RE game in a
Well, here's the thing: is
I don't
like
count 7. I'm not counting 8.
you gotta though. You gotta, from their perspective, from Capcom's perspective, that is what it is. Whether we personally acknowledge it is our own thing, but to a certain degree, if that game's not for you, it wasn't intended for you. And I think at the end of the day, like a big mature thing is to realize that's okay.
Yeah, no,
That's
okay.
okay.
I don't hate on people who like RE7.
It's like, but then getting mad at the company is kind of like sus.
I get mad at them all the time.
But
so
the
that's
thing
what
is,
it's
like, corporations aren't people. They don't really care about your feelings in the first place. It's cool when they respect their own properties and media, and I don't think that Capcom has done any disservice to Resident Evil. Resident Evil, you know, it's all over the place in its nature.
No, it is. It is. I'm not.
So 7, no, it wasn't for a lot of people. It wasn't, and that's okay. I mean, it is and it isn't. I think that for the diehard like Resident Evil like lore fans and shit, it did nothing for us. Like, it did nothing. Like, it was like, who the fuck is Ethan and why do I care?
Exactly.
And this is also the first time we've had a faceless protagonist, like a self-insert kind of ish
yeah.
protagonist. But at the same time, I don't really care about his story.
And that's my
you
thing.
know.
Like, I feel like this is how I genuinely feel. I don't think it got leaked, but I feel like it was planned to be a spin-off game, but they're like, wait a second, let's just put a number over it because our number titles always sell more. I feel that's literally what happened with that.
You know, but flip side, as you already just mentioned, Code Veronica and 3.
Right. So
How about this? Let's even go deeper with it. Devil May Cry was supposed to be Resident Evil 4.
Right.
There's the reason why Dante and Leon look a little similar.
Exactly,
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like, yeah, but at that point they realized like, okay, this is too different of a game. We got to just make it something else, and that's cool.
I feel they should have done that with 7.
But I don't think 7 pushed the boundaries far enough for it to be a different series.
I mean, think about it. You could have called them molded. Like you even said, like they were. I mean, heck, as far as I know,
They
maybe
didn't-
they aren't people.
I don't, because the thing is I'm pretty confident they're not. Because
I
like
didn't read into
they
it.
just
enough.
kind of form out of the mold.
But the thing for me, it's because they look like people. You don't just.
They
form a
take on
person.
they do take on a human shape. I think
That's why.
it's been a minute. I haven't really played
See,
7
and
recently.
I'm okay with it. Like I'm okay with acknowledging that they're not zombies.
If they aren't, they aren't, because I really don't feel.
If they're not, then that means Resident Evil 7 is definitely not an RE game. Because I was like, oh, they have zombies.
Resident Evil 7 was probably one of the biggest deviations in terms of like
And the
what
thing is,
established. But it's weird because like the storytelling is very similar to Resident Evil.
really, nah.
A little bit.
Okay, a little bit, sure. That's it.
A little bit.
I'll give you a
Like
little bit. Towards
it-
the end, it was.
right. But then you also have all the similar gameplay elements. You know,
The survival aspect, absolutely. I'm not disagreeing with that. It was definitely a
like
survival horror game.
the puzzle solving, dude, coming on, walking around that
To me, the item boxes was sold me like, fuck, it's Resident
the way that house was constructed, you can't tell me that it didn't have
No,
the
that-
same fucking weird ass architect that the mansion had. You know, they had to be the same guy. There was some crossover there. So it's like for them to be like, yeah, this isn't Resident Evil. This is like a spiritual successor to Resident Evil. would have been kind of like, ugh, but Resident Evil's not finished. Why are we getting a spiritual successor to something that's not really? Um, uh, here's an even better thing. Vastly, like, it almost would have been like Blaze Blue to Guilty Gear. Right? You know,
Dude.
like very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar in terms of like completely different universes and worlds or whatever. But I remember back in the day when people were calling Blaze Blue a spiritual successor to Guilty Gear.
Yeah.
And it's like, but Guilty Gear was still running alongside Blaze Blue, so they're two different franchises. But I see it. Come on, man, you can't tell me Kai and fucking Jin, whoever designed those characters, weren't sampling off each other. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But Resident Evil 7, it's a thing. You know, love it or hate it, it's a thing. It's the direction the series wants to take, and that's why I think it's okay that we get these reimaginings, right? Because if you don't like the current mainline entries, well, fuck. We'll drip feed some of this for you. Like, here's a reimagining of 2.
That's my only thing,
reimagining
right?
of 3.
Like, reimaginings, go for it. The RE, whatever that shit is, go for it. But then I'm like, then what the hell's left for me? That's where I feel like they're leaving. That's how I feel personally.
It does feel very slighting, because it's like, well, as a fan who's been invested for years, I'm not getting any new content that I want to see.
Exactly.
But I feel like
they met me halfway with the reimaginings.
Yeah, and I think that was their goal. They were like, "Hey guys, we know you might not have liked 7, right? Well, you know what? We'll meet you in the middle. This is something cool that we want to do. I hope you appreciate it." And I think that the reimaginings of 2 and 3 were done out of the love of the guys. You can't. You know, they definitely.
And I think you're right. You know, I say you're right, because at the end of the day, the gameplay and everything feel they do put a lot of nods to us, and they repackage the story for be easy. They don't have to worry about the lore and all that, because imagine them trying to fit in the Operation Raccoon City plotline.
Oh my god!
I was looking forward to that, but then I could see the fans kind of like not or the casual.
But that game did not sell. You gotta look from Capcom's perspective. And you know what's even worse? When you have to consider all your extended games as canon, what happens when they flop, right?
Like, I mean, dude, Umbrella Corps and Operation Raccoon City are both canon, and they did flop.
But they fuck. And so guess what? No one played them. So it's gonna be really hard to make. I can't say no one, not literally no one played them, but it's really hard to make references and tie-in aspects from games that like people aren't going to buy nor play.
And you know what's funny? RE7 and Even Village actually are making a lot of nods and references to Umbrella, the most recent. That's what's fun. So that's why I'm like.
But now, I'm not going to pretend to know anything about the plot. I haven't looked at any leaks or anything for 8. I kind of want to experience it myself before I
mean, I don't know anything because I don't care.
But from a review that I read earlier, apparently, Village makes a lot of references to a lot of dropped plot threads from 5.
I can see that.
A lot of dead-end plot stuff that from the end, from after 5 concluded, it's made reference to and alluded to very heavily, like,
and that's the Umbrella Corps did the same thing.
So I mean, we'll see. I mean, they definitely care. You can't say that they don't give a fuck. They care. And I think that their hesitation in calling Village 8, I think that really speaks to a lot, because they know that current like first-person gameplay direction isn't the most popular among everybody. It's gained a lot of for what Resident Evil 7 put a lot of eyes on Resident Evil that haven't been on Resident Evil in years.
It's mainly and the thing is, I don't want to hate on normies. Like I said, to me, you enjoy 7, that's fine. Just don't come up to me and tell me about my game's lore. That's all.
Listen, man, if them appreciating 7 leads them to want to appreciate other things, I mean, hypothetically, I know we keep fucking comparing the two. It goes back to my point about Final Fantasy 7. Like, Final Fantasy 7 fans, they fucking love it, right? And it's just like, and I'm one of them. I'm a Final Fantasy 7 fan, and it doesn't matter if you say it's your favorite fucking game. Cool.
Right.
But when you start having conversations about, well, this game is better than this game and that kind of shit, just let's not do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Let's just not do that, because I think everyone has their room for their favorites. You know what I mean? So yeah, 7's not for RE7's not for everybody. Cool, but it did do something for the series that it put Resident Evil back on the map after the travesty that was 6.
And here's the funny thing: a lot of people say that, right? But RE6 over time almost grew like a cult thing. Like, it's like known as the good bad game.
You know, here's the thing: is like, I'm not gonna lie. While playing it, the gameplay felt bad, but in terms of like from it as a narrative standpoint, it was bad, but during the time, I was like, whatever. It's just more. This is literally an extension of the crazy weirdness that 4 started. 4 did some wild shit, dude.
I was okay with it.
4 did some really wild shit, and then 5 was like, let's have Chris punch a boulder, and you're just
Hey,
like,
dude, you know the crazy thing
let's
is,
go.
I never realized how ridiculous it was until people pointed out. I was immersed.
Yeah, right. I was like, holy shit, dude. He's like, you're just in the game.
Dude,
you're
I wanted to say
you're
shit.
mashing the fucking X
bro.
button. You're like, punch the shit out of that boulder, punch it, man. And then it's only in retrospect that you're like, well, damn, that's actually. But then it's like, wait a minute, that giant Salazar statue from 4 was even more stupid.
Yeah, we didn't even question it.
Wait, why was lava there?
Actually,
how
I'm
the
I'm
fuck?
okay with the lava part.
I mean, you're just like, wait, how the fuck? Why was there lava underneath the castle? How you start thinking about the logistics of it, and you're like, oh, it gets too weird. But that's suspension of disbelief, right?
Right.
The material is making you forget about reality and the restrictions that reality have. You're just enjoying it for what it is. That's the ridiculousness. But I feel like 6 pushed that like way too far.
No, it did. Dude,
Like-
it's a diehard game, bro.
I was just like,
Here's
what
my
is
problem
going
with
on?
6 that 5 that why I feel anything past 6 is to be retcon, not counting Revelations, because in 4 and 5 the thing that they had from the core Resident Evil was like if they lived it's because of their survival skill. It wasn't just because main character this, like, because dude, even in 5 a lot of people died.
Yeah,
A lot. But in
that.
6 it's like take 100 sorry football, you're the main character, you fell badass, you get to live, like,
It
dude,
was
no cap.
weird.
Leon
It
should have died like
was
6 times.
weird.
Leon should have died 6 times due to injuries or something. Like, fell off the bus, should have died. The bus exploded. He should have actually died. If an explosion is big enough to push you, you should actually die. Like, no bull. But in Resident Evil 4, that never happened. It's an explosion, and they just dropped the ticker and they're good. It's never, the explosion. Like,
Well-
if that happened, you'd be dead.
Well, here's the thing about all right. On the flip side of that, the shit that should have killed you is like they didn't showcase that kind of shit in cutscenes, but it was definitely gameplay. There's a lot of shit.
That's just game. That game.
That's my point. That's my point, though. It's like, where do you draw the line? Where do you tote the line?
I draw the line at cutscenes.
Is the gameplay? No, you can't though, because that's
I
very
will.
nah, dude.
Bro, because here's the thing: some games aim for more suitable. Like, here's an example: Battlefield 3 is not the most realistic gameplay wise, but it makes you feel.
But the setting of Battlefield is so
Exactly.
hyper grounded into like military realistic warfare, whereas Resident Evil is a little more.
Less than that.
Yeah, you're not really. Yeah, so it's like when you start nitpicking cutscenes versus what happens in gameplay, they're about on the. I feel.
Fine, whatever.
Resident Evil is pretty crazy.
But
man.
again, the funny thing is, if you want a realistic shooter, homie, play Armo. That the gameplay for that is like you get shot in the toe. Damn, bro, you gotta start watching for a mile.
yeah, you're done.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the thing is, the reality is, I learned something that even the developers who made out of. Did you hear about that one tank game that's super realistic? Like it has like bullet. It makes the world of tanks look like a
Yeah,
fucking
I'm
kid's
sure.
toy.
I'm sure that exists. I haven't seen
It's
it.
sick. It's fuck. I keep need to re-download it. But he even said one thing that they cut out that would have ruined the game. Like some tanks, if you start it up, they wouldn't even start because that would actually happen in real wars. And they realized like there's a fine line of how much realism you can put before it stops being. That was
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
and that's the thing about video games is they're not real, so they don't have to.
Right, we got us like again. Remember Battlefield 3? Like, everyone will see it. Here, Battlefield 3 so realistic compared to Call of Duty. Yeah, but in retrospect, compared to most PC shooters, Escape from Tarkov, Arma, they make Battlefield 3 look like Call of Duty, bro. Those games are insane in their level of.
But the thing is like,
Insane.
but they give you. I mean, if you want more realism, you have a game.
Right, exactly. Like in Tarkov, you literally have to reload your bullets into the fucking clip.
There's a game for that if that's the experience that you want.
Like, nah, bro. You want realism, bro? Play Tarkov or Arma. Where you have to actually communicate with your teammates on the helicopter, and they have to give you exact location. And most of the map is you in the place, bored as fuck. Like, man,
I mean,
well, I might swing by here. The commander said we had to check if they're gonna swing by.
if you like a military like simulation,
what it is. That's what it
you
is.
get that if that's what you want. You know,
Right.
you
And
want to
that's-
pretend that lifestyle.
And that's the thing about that people need to separate. There's sims, then there's things in between. Like Ace Combat's a good example. It's like in between a simulator and an arcade fighter. Arcade fighters, like they have all the lights and everything and all this shit. Then Ace Combat has like those elements, but it's pretty grounded with actual planes and everything, but over bombastic situations. Makes it great. And then there's Flight Simulator, where you literally just fly a goddamn plane.
You fly a fucking plane, and
I
if
mean-
it's gonna take you 19 hours to get from here to Japan, it's gonna take you 19 hours.
I don't know.
You
And
know.
the thing is, I am that kind of guy who likes, like, I'm sitting here like, damn, realistic, right? Like I'm fucking foaming from the mouth and shit. You know, but I'm a nerd. I get that, right? Not everyone's about that. But I also, like, I don't know. Like I don't know. Like I'm the guy who will sit here and play Kirby and be like, yo, I fucking love this shit. And then the next minute, Flight Simulator, like, let's fucking go into. Are you okay? Are you okay, sir?
You know what? And that's the glory of video games, that you could like whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
And I try to tell people to go outside of their comfort zones. Like,
Please do.
the people that are like, oh, I only play Call of Duty and Madden. Man, have you tried anything else? I feel like you're
Look,
doing your.
all right, look. I'll say this much, man. If you like RE7, fine. You can, but I'll say this much: if you're already trying the other REs, I already like you more than the average Madden COD fan. Because those people, it's like, how do you sit there and just play just that? Like that to me, like I get if you like. I know people that he loves RPGs. Did not like. He's like, I don't want to play another game like Scramble ever again. Fair enough, right? At least he gave it a shot. Or like, I understand. I knew Miss Monopolis. We were talking about her earlier. She can't stand turn-based RPGs. She thinks they're boring.
A lot of people, yeah, but I mean, the point about this medium is there's something for you.
Right.
No matter where you look, there's something for you.
Right, but the whole thing is, did you give it a shot, and is there a genuine reason why you don't like it?
Right. I mean, and you're allowed to like what you like and not like what you don't like, and that's perfectly fine. But allow yourself to form an opinion.
Exactly.
Don't just like, well, I don't play anything else just because you say you don't like it, but you haven't actually tried anything else. That's kind of weird.
You're right. That's or again, fun how when I first looked up my greatest game to see how relevant I was, I was upset. Tell me why every single one of greatest gamer, if it's whatever, some just greatest gamer, capital G, you get what I'm saying? Like
Yes,
everyone
Call
was
of
picking a name, a bunch of 12-year-olds or something, but oddly some were Minecraft. Or Call of Duty, like that would be the generic person to think they're the greatest. I'm the best gamer in the world. Oh, what do you play? Oh, just Call of Duty. Like, what do you mean? Just you're not even pro at the game either. You're like, it's like, I don't know. I feel like that's how do you? It's like, oh, I'm the best writer in the world, but all you have is like a pencil you write here. You don't even know how anybody else writes. It's like, how can you claim to be the best at something that you actually genuinely have no idea?
No. Even better, you're a writer, but you've never read a book before.
Oh,
It's like, what?
That's basically what you mean. No, seriously, like if you're just sitting here and you don't even play every genre, you want to hear, oh, I know the best game, or oh, I'm the best, or I'm. The reality is, you basically know nothing. That's how he said. You basically.
And that's what.
That's what it is.
But here's the thing: is like here's galaxy brain level. It's when you realize you don't know it.
Damn straight.
And that's okay. That's okay, people. You cannot know something.
Right.
In the year of our Lord 2021, you cannot know something, and it's okay.
Take it. Okay. Look. I'll show you. For example, you've all seen my fat ass catalog of games, and that just don't be surprised. I'll sit here and play maybe 100 games a month maximum, right? Bro, I still barely touch how many fucking games exist. There are games that I still don't even know that exist. There's games I still haven't beat 20 times in a row.
That's okay.
And I never will.
And that's fine.
That's a reality. It's straight up. It's impossible. It's impossible.
But when you have this attitude that, like, okay, Call of Duty is the greatest thing known to man, and you've never touched any other game in your life, and you're just like, well, shit. But here's the crazy part, man, is like, the lowest common denominator I see come through the store, and I'm looking for Call of Duty. Yeah.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah.
Get the fuck
That's the low. Yeah.
What? I thought that's the main motherfuckers. Wait, so then what's the main denominator then?
No, that's the average.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's what we get 90% of the time. That's
okay.
literally what we get.
Okay, for me, I was thinking. Okay.
No, yeah, I know what you were thinking. You're thinking of the reverse, but no,
okay.
that's what we get all the time. Right. That's what we get all the time.
Okay, good. We're back to the normalcy. That
and but here's what blows my mind: those same people ask if we have a PS, and it's just like, what are you gonna play on your PS5? Call of Duty,
and dude, Max Mealy made a fun joke. Like, you know, most people don't care about this. Like, they're like, oh, where's my PS5? When's FIFA? It's like, you're the last people to need a PS5. I'm sorry.
For what?
Like, I don't want to try to offend, but I'm like, dude, if you only need it for Fortnite or something, you genuinely you don't deserve a PS5.
I'm really kind of lost. If that's your approach to it. Because it's like, okay, you're gonna keep playing the same game every year.
You can already play on the game.
But you know what? And I've seen the reverse of that too. A good friend of mine, he is a huge NBA fanatic, right? But he not just likes the game. He appreciates the sport he plays. Like, God forbid, he actually goes outside and picks up a basketball.
Oh, dude, that's a lot of sports fans.
But like, it's weird because he has such a fascination with basketball as a sport that the game is something that he loves. And yes, he did buy the new Xbox Series X to play NBA, but he was like, I have to because there's 4 differences between
right.
the NBA on Xbox One versus the NBA on Series X. and he's like, I want to be able to play the best caliber of game that I can play with it because I want that ultimate simulation. And I'm like, I respect that. Outside of the person who comes in and they're just like, yeah, man, I'm so good at fucking NBA. And then their next question is, y'all got the controller mods? You're good at the game, but you need to cheat? I'm done. I'm done, dude. I'm fucking done. I don't want to talk to anybody anymore. I don't want to talk to anybody anymore.
Degenerates, bro. That's why Call of Duty has such a cheating
I fucking
problem.
hate it. They're like, hey, man, y'all got the Elite Series 2 controller? And I'm like, yeah, we got it. Can I attach mods to this? I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
And then why even play, bro? Like,
I
dude.
don't understand it. I don't.
I don't
dude.
either, bro. I really don't.
I don't. And it's like, I mean, if that's fun for you, is it really though?
Nah.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
They got self-esteem.
I don't think so.
That's a good one. That's a good one. We went off on that one. That was the thing, and we started like no. See, I already knew it was gonna. We were just talking about games. I mean, we're good. We covered for most of it, I think. But yeah, we ended up pretty good for most of the stuff.
Yes.
All right, I guess the one thing because I think we'll cover it next time.
We'll have a more structure for it maybe next
Not
time.
if anything.
We just kind of going off the cuff here. I know we probably went on a number of fucking tangents.
Which is good. But okay, what about Persona Strikers? Okay, I want to see. What did you think about Strikers? You finished it, right? Or no?
No, actually,
Damn! All right.
We'll
We will talk about it when you
next time.
finish it, then.
I have not.
Let's be real. It's no secret. I fucking love that game. Like, I really, really like that game. He's just like...
I mean, it's a good game.
Literally, like, and here's the funny thing about Persona 5, like I love, like, 4 is my favorite. Like, generic, I know Persona 4 is everyone's fucking favorite. 5, like, I like, but I felt like it was missing something. I don't know what it was, like, and the thing I don't like about the dub, like, just something about them feels off. The Japanese sub just feels, like, 3, 4, I can run. But something about, like, hearing the dub, if it's not Makoto or the main character or Yosuke, everybody feels weird.
See, I feel the opposite. I loved 5 stuff.
I think it's unanimous with a lot of people, and I think I'm just in the minority.
I mean, I've listened to it, the sub and dub. I'm not a dub versus sub guy or vice versa. But I've heard both, and I actually genuinely really have an appreciation. You know what's weird? I feel the way you feel about 5. I can't feel that way.
Get the fuck out!
Yeah, dude, I feel like
Hey,
4 is
whatever.
like a little overrated, but I don't think 5. I think 5 is also overrated at the same time.
Oh no, I get it.
But both are really good. But I didn't like the cast of them.
For me, it was the voices. Like, and again, I like Makoto, Yosuke, and the main character, and even Kojiro? Oh, and of course the guy, with the voice actor for Wesker and Azro. Pretty famous.
Dang. I've met him. Yeah, I know exactly.
He's a cool dude, cool ass dude, right? And he did the voice for Kamoshida. I think
Yes.
he did an excellent job.
Yeah. Oh, dude, Kamoshida. Boy, he makes you hate Kamoshida, dude. He
And
really
he
makes
enjoyed.
you...
The thing is that I thought he
Yes.
really enjoyed it. I was like, "Yeah, you're a fucking prick. This is why you're one of my favorite voice actors."
Oh,
He
man.
ran with it, like, really did.
Yes. He makes you like nothing. Like 5's opening moments, you're like, I fucking hate this guy. Like it takes you no time to be like, he's just shit. Like he's terrible. We need to get this dude. I love it. 5.
And what's even more impressive, his voice, it's still the same one, but Wesker, Azrael, and him, like they're very distinct different people. But if you look for it, like,
No,
is that Azrael Wesker?
yeah, you know. You know it's him.
Am I gonna hear? Am I gonna see a zombie do Black Hawk Stinger? I start making jokes. Yo, I want to see Kamoshida do a Black Hawk Stinger while being half dead. But yeah, again, literally, like, I think they did a good job, right? Like the voice, no hate against them. I just don't like their voices. It's literally just, literally purely an opinionated. 100. I can't even say that.
I mean, that,
Purely opinionated.
yeah, and the thing is like I'm the type of person that really like dubbed nowadays. Like back when I was a kid, like I mean, yeah, that's the way you were exposed to it. You know? But now that I've like gotten much more fonder appreciation to the Japanese seiyus, like the online reflection in their voices, and like I'm not saying the English doesn't put forth the same effort, but it depending on what you're looking at, it's so heavy based on like the direction, right? Like if you're listening to an English dub, chances are the reason why it's bad isn't because the voice talent's bad, it's because the direction was probably
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. Direction has a lot to do with it.
So it's like if you don't have an understanding of like how the source material was really kind of constructed, you know, kind of eh.
and here's my case, right? And specifically why, like for me, this I want to see if I can make it specifically just because. Like I think I was fine playing the dub for most Persona. I think I still would have been fine. I still would have had experience. But I feel specifically for Scramble, if it wasn't for the sub, I don't think I would love it as much as
No,
I
I
would
can
now.
I can I can
So
understand
let's see.
that.
I'm not
You're gonna get a lot of shit. Nothing to do.
No, give me the real Sophie. Oh, come on! Yeah. Here's a good example, right?
Weren't for Sophie, we wouldn't have even made it here. Have I been helpful to the Phantom Thieves? Mm-hmm. You know it. Praise accepted.
Okay, so like the praise, except like okay, not bad in the humming, but then you hear like the Japanese version. The squeakiness in her voice it's not in the dub. Maybe
You know what's very and this is like I think they picked a very good
the iPhone is confused.
I think the English picked a very good actress to do Sophia. I feel like the tonality of the voices.
Again, like how they speak, but I think it's just purely the voice. And the thing is, well, her archetype has existed in anime for years. Dub people don't have nothing to go on, right?
I'm gonna have to play more of the game to really kind of and I mean obviously I'll analyze it both in English.
Right.
Yes,
The
but-
thing is, I've got used to her.
But from the voice samples, I mean, they tonally they sound very similar. But in terms of like, you know, there's some nuances there probably in the Japanese. Might get lost a little bit in the English.
Oh, look at it! Look at it! It's a happy little waifu.
But you also have to think about the way pronunciation is done in syllables in Japanese. You're probably that squeakiness that you're picking up on, or what you think could be squeak. It could just be the way the words are said.
And that's a huge component,
So
right?
it's like you got to really kind of look at it for what I mean. Depends on what you're looking for, but I don't think that I wouldn't say the English is inferior based on this small sample, but it comes down to
yeah, and I even say it is because it's not that I'm like okay, the dub isn't bad. I'm like okay, she's still pretty adorable.
But you know there's some legit bad dubs out there too. So
Like, I'm not getting that in the dub. I'm not getting no Mission Completo. That shit's hilarious to me. Like it and like I said, and then when she even in her humming to me, okay, that's when I have like I feel her humming's way better. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Like it just sounds more smooth and clean. No offense to the other one.
this man is in love. All right, guys. I don't know. I'm not feeling it, but I see he is a very passionate Sophia fan, and you know what? I accept him for it.
Like, I'm not gonna. If you like Sophia's, I'm not gonna hate you for it. Not
No,
at all.
no.
But for me, like Sophia, true Sophia has to be the sub. That's all I'm saying. Actually, you know what? Speaking of, random, I love this. I don't know why. Is it weird if this heart maybe like made my heart stop a little bit? Like, oh. Fuck is that? Part right here. Oh. That be me.
He's done. Put a fork in him. He's done, man.
But yeah, I mean, you know what it was, I think, for a Scramble, besides setting aside the ness of her, like, Persona was missing one key component. It needed something adorable for me to love. Like, I think that's all 5 needed. It's like, I was like, man, I like this. Is good. I even almost shed a tear, but I was like, what missed it from being like that part from 4? Like, obviously I still like 4 more, but I'm like, I felt 5 just missed something. That's why I was thinking, oh, I was just missing a key
And literally all 5 is missing is Sophia. Had Sophia been in 5, I think that would have been hit top of his list. Greatest game of all time. Persona 5 could not be ever eclipsed by anything in modern history. That's all it was missing. So let's just retroactively add her into 5.
Yeah, no.
You know.
Nah, seriously, like, dude, literally, dude, that little squishy character was half the reason I fucking love 4, dude.
And that's the thing is like, yeah, like the characters make such a huge difference.
Oh, right, because one other thing I also said important, like, I couldn't get to it much earlier, right? What's really important, I stress enough, like, you can have a good ass story, everything, or plot holes, doesn't matter. You want to know why some stories, say again, for example, Final Fantasy might not have the best writing in the whole world. There are RPGs with way better writing. But why do you want to know why that game specifically is more highly acclaimed or this or that? Characters.
The characters are so fucking memorable. You know, like
If your cast is likable, especially your main character, your story could be garbage.
and
Doesn't matter.
You can hate whatever. I don't care if you like or hate, if you're an RPG fan or whatever. You don't know who the fuck Cloud Strife is.
You're a caveman. You're a fucking caveman.
You have to like it or hate it, whatever. You know who that is,
Or Marla.
right? You know, it's like
Master Chief, Chris Red, like Wesker, like you look at them and that's like, it's iconic. Like, the
But
character design alone.
you could be part of the smaller population that don't like it. You could say it's too mainstream. Well, guess what? There's a reason why it worked. There's a reason why it worked. It's likable. You could say it's too much or you don't like it or fucking I can't stand certain characters. Like I hate Goku. Like I fucking hate.
I hate him too now. Actually, no cap.
I don't know why he's so stupid, but for some reason
It's
people
unbearable.
fucking love him. You know what I mean? Like
Virginia's better.
you know, I don't like him either, but
I
I don't like.
Doesn't matter.
The point is you gotta fucking love this.
And no, that's it. And again, when someone tells me if they can't stand a show because they don't like, I can't argue that. Like, I can't tell you to like something you don't. Like, if you don't like ketchup, I can't force you to eat ketchup.
Right.
That's what it is. That's why we call it taste. Oh shit, it all makes sense now.
Or you know what? You can. Here's the thing: is like you can present someone like the finest food in the world, and whatever the chefs say, the flavor profile is amazing. It's finely crafted ingredients that they had to source locally from. They had to go into the crazy parts of the world to find these awesome ingredients. And if you're told it's amazing, right? And then you eat it and you're like, oh, I don't like this. Well, shit. You know what? You like ketchup. You're like, oh, it needs ketchup. And you're just like, and then the chefs are like, ooh. But it's like, well, shit, you know, if they like ketchup, that's okay.
Right.
Like, if they haven't expanded their palate to be on whatever, and then you have to question the chefs who say that shit is amazing. You have to wonder, are you just saying this shit's amazing because it's like out there and weird and quirky? Or do you actually like it yourself? Do you like, ask a chef if they like fucking ketchup? You know what I mean?
Right.
And you're like, and if they say like, well, you know, I kind of like ketchup and fries, man, it can't beat that. And you're like, well, shit, like, okay, then don't judge me based on my taste.
Yeah, I put ketchup on my goddamn eggs, bro.
You know? So it's like that's all right. That's all right. There's a reason why certain things work. And
Right.
why
I mean,
things
again,
don't.
Sword Art Online, we were like, that shit's trash because we can't stand Kirito.
But there are people out there that love it.
Hey, power to you. Like, I mean, power to you. Literally, I'm not even being ironic. Power
Like,
to you.
there's somebody out there where Kirito is their favorite main character. From any
It
anime
hurts
of
me,
all
like
time.
hearing that it's God.
And that exists, and it's just like, well, I mean, you like what you like.
Here's another good example too. It goes both ways, but like one of my favorite shooters of all time is Umbrella Corps. Look at it. You want to know how I feel when people insult it? I find it funny. Literally, Angry Joe was talking mad stuff, and you know what I said there? I'm like, man, this guy's funny as hell. I didn't get offended at all. If anything, I'm glad that someone's that passionately hates something I like.
Know, and the thing is that I think people often forget, you gotta like something. You have to have like, I mean, I say that kind of loosely. Now you can just openly criticize shit if you want to, but it's different when you have an appreciation of something and then you're like, oh, I don't like this. That means you actually care. Like, you care. Like, this man says he doesn't like Resident Evil 7. He's not just saying that because he doesn't like. You have to be able, like, to understand and have an appreciation of something on a deep level. You have to know when it's not perfect.
Right.
Like, you have to be able to acknowledge something isn't really always that good, and that's fine. That's fine. You know, your favorite game can be trash, and that's...
Look, man, I like Mortal Kombat vs. DC. That game is garbage.
Bruh, I like Sonic 06, alright?
I mean, I feel like I'd like Sonic 06 too.
Like, I like Sonic 06 for what it was. It's a terrible game.
Right. And I feel,
You know.
and that's the thing, right? Like, we never have there's a distinction between personal and then objective. Like there are actual standards and stuff, and
Like,
there's a reason we do.
Bro,
right?
the game, I wanted to pull my hair out while playing that fucking game. liked what the game wanted to do.
And again, Mortal Kombat vs. DC, I was like, this game is clunkier than Mortal Kombat is. And then after a while, I grew to learn and love the jank broke.
And you're just like,
This game's great.
it
So
becomes
stupid.
Stockholm syndrome. You're like, I hate it so much, I love it. And it's just like,
Well, you know, again, Resident Evil 6 is kind of like, I feel like that's like the ultimate one because, like, no, RE6 is genuinely pretty bad plot. And the thing is, here's the problem with the gameplay. The gameplay is the problem. It's the way the layout, like the map design is garbage. But when you play Mercenaries, God, I have 300 hours in that game, bro. And this is coming from someone who played, like, I looked at the trailer, the demo, I'm like this. I played the demo, I'm like, what is this?
but you know
Moving
it's crazy.
and shooting.
But in that arcade setting of Mercenaries,
It's perfect.
it works.
It's perfect.
It works, but it just didn't apply to the actual. But that just like that doesn't mean that there was a. That doesn't mean it's a faulty made game. It just means that they didn't use what they had the right.
Yeah, that's it, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Everybody came to consensus, like, and everybody has their favorite one. Like, some people are like, well, I only like Jake's. I don't like Leon's. Me, I only like Leon's was the worst one. Ada's top worst one. Leon's second. Jake's was okay. Loved Chris's, and for some people, it's the other way around.
Yeah, it's a
Like, how
completely
the
different
fuck?
ladder. But that was another interesting thing about that game is that it had like the pairs played so distinctly different. Like and
That
it's-
is nice.
you
I
know,
don't have a
it
problem
was
with
like it was literally like no, they weren't. They weren't.
that.
It was like Sonic Adventure, but in Resident Evil. It's like, okay, I'm
Right,
gonna play
right.
the Sonic mode or the
the-
Knuckles or Tails.
And here's
you
the
know?
thing about RE6 that even the development team that happened, because the people who don't know, there was over 200.
There was a lot of people.
They had too many ideas and they all put it too much, and the only way it did work was in the game. Like, fun fact, like RE has a lot of little details. Like, some weakness. Here's an example. You know the dogs are really weak to fire. Actually,
Right.
you do it, they get one shot. Even if they touch the flame, they instantly die. The whip heads, you throw a flashbang, they instantly die. Like little. There's ones that are very obvious, like those, and there's little ones like the fire grenade. Some people, shit, that's neat. Or that if you flash the crows, they all
But
die.
I think communicating those elements in 6 was terrible. Like the game didn't communicate that information to you.
It really didn't. That is absolutely right. You want to know why? Because I've been playing this game for God knows how long. Every time I play, I always.
I mean, a game that has intuitive design where it's like, okay, you can figure it out as you play and like, oh, you understand the nuances of it. That's great. But like, if a game doesn't communicate any of that information to you and you're just like left to your own devices, you're not looking up guides online or whatever, it's gonna feel terrible. You're like, what the?
And again, it's more about the map design. Like none of it gears you towards this or that. It's just all random
Oh,
crap. Here you
God,
go. Like
no.
you're so lost. Like I'd be so lost and claustrophobic. In
Like
the
when you
goddamn
get
stuff.
to, especially like when you're in the China segment,
Oh, I fucking
like,
hate
God,
those.
dude, I'm just like, what happened here? What?
And the frame rate drops like a motherfucker.
Oh
in
my
those.
god, dude. And then they throw a billion enemies at you, and it's just like,
I'm getting PTSD, bro.
like how the fuck, like, oh my
Like,
god.
so when people, I swear, some guy question me like, "Do you really hate 6?" I'm like, my expression is not faking on how much I hate the campaign.
and they're bullet sponges, and you're like, why? Why?
You know what's weird? Mercenary somehow fixes that and makes them honestly too easy to kill, but it's like whatever.
Yeah, because it turns it into a more
Arcade,
arcade
right,
like
right,
set. And well,
right.
why didn't you guys just do that from the get go?
Real Talk campaign is basically an
And here's
arcade.
the thing: is like, and then another discussion we could probably have a future topic on
Mm-hmm.
this is difficulty and fun. Like, where do you draw the line there? Like, does a game have to be hard for it to be enjoyable, or can it be hard and enjoyable? Or can it be something that's simple and easy, and then the nuances or the more complex things about it make it give you a deeper level? There's just a lot of shit.
You know what's funny too? We basically already covered RE Village by just talking about like 7. So we already covered.
I mean, you know what? I'm gonna play it this weekend, so I mean, I'll have some.
oh, so it's coming out in 2 days then, right?
Yep, Friday.
Dude, I only care about playing the mercenaries. Though, Cap. Obviously, that's
hey,
me.
Hey, you know what? I only want to play the
I'll give
story.
him props, right? Story mode, go eat a dick. Side modes, I'm okay.
I'm glad that they included it.
Right, and this is what I hate when people are like, why are these are garbage? It's like, dude, you should be glad they add more content just for the hell of it. You know, like what's wrong with adding more? Even if you don't touch it, like, dude, I'd rather the game actually have more extra content for other people. I mean, think about it. I think about buying the game purely for the offline content. You know, like I ain't even touching the store. I'm like, not mercenaries and RE-verse all day.
And that's awesome. I mean, the fact, and that's the thing is like they're like, fuck, well, hell, we'll give everybody something. Mercenaries
that.
wasn't even in 7. So it's like the fact that they brought that back is like, okay, all right, we get it, guys. We know things you like about Resident
Right. Nocturnes.
Evil. Yeah, we got a little bit of time on that. And June is pretty stacked with too.
Yeah,
Guilty
Guilty
Gear.
Gear!
There's a lot of shit. More stuff is coming out over this summer period because everything was getting delayed. So a lot of stuff is coming out this early summer that I don't usually see that much activity. If this were the regular schedule of things, all this shit would have been out probably.
But what was that one thing before we got many distracted by?
I don't even remember. Dude. I just go on tangents when I talk. So.
True. But I mean, it was good. Oh yeah, RE6. Yeah. But I mean, yeah,
we talked about that one.
the only thing I can add is the one thing I really did like, did you know, because you know that one chainsaw dude, right?
Yeah.
I think they did an amazing job with him, right? Like I said, the zombies are good. Did you know that he has his heart in his fucking chainsaw?
I don't think I paid attention to that.
I only learned when I was reading through the bio, and I was like, wait. And I looked at the model. I was like,
You actually
Did
want to shoot the chainsaw? See, that's
that's such a
but
bruh,
but
that's
does
sick.
does the
No,
communicate
that's
that
the
to
thing.
you?
It doesn't.
No, like if he didn't just tell me that, I could have gone my entire life.
Like RE6 is like I mean, I guess it's overused, right? Like the Dark Souls, but let's say Neo because Neo's better. The Neo of fucking RE games, like that game, no, like it's like fuck you, bro. You figure shit on your own.
I don't know, man. It could be,
but it's not.
but it's not.
Nah, right.
It's not.
Because the thing is,
that
you
could
can
have
still
been
do
genius.
good in Mercenaries without having to know that weak point. The thing, right? Mercenary 6 is could use some touches. Even if someone who played 300 hours, it could use some. Like I feel like it needs to have a system to reward you, like in Devil May Cry. Because the thing that RE6 does have a problem, I'll tell you, playing at a high level, you basically end up doing the same things over and over. And I feel like from a competitive standpoint, like a spectator, it gets kind of boring. And that's why when I play, I always switch it up. You can. The game completely allows you. I would like for the game to be like, oh, you're doing this, you're not doing the same thing over. Let's give you more points for changing it up, kind of like Devil May Cry.
Right.
Like if that system was implemented in
Oh my
RE6,
God, dude.
God,
Like Devil May Cry, that whole like grading system, like the fact of like, hey, you keep repeating the same actions, we're not gonna score you any higher.
RE6 needs to do that.
You know, that would be actually kind of.
Because a lot of the thing about RE6, believe it or not, is why I rated A to low tier in tier list is because for bow and arrow, way too slow on any shit once. And people, oh, it kills them. Like the thing is, you don't aim to kill zombies in RE6 with the weapons. You aim to get them weak enough, melee them to get, because when you melee, you get time. It's all about time, and it's against. I think that guy didn't play RE at a high level. Ada's low tier. And the funny thing is, her melee is too weak, and her bow gun is too weak combined. Like, oh, bow gun, knockdown, do melee. They don't die most of the time. And here's okay, and say, oh, if it does kill, you wasted way too much time killing that enemy that the time you gain is basically in the negatives. Whereas you could go pierce, headshot, boom, like you literally are just in a row, like headshot, melee, getting 30 seconds from like 5 seconds. Whereas Ada, you're wasting not more time to get the time that you would have done with someone. That's why she's low tier. Like she gets in the negatives. You have to work so hard. Whereas Pierce, machine gun go burr. Oh, don't get me started on this. Like I said, I think about it, if I know enough to make a goddamn tier list of that shit.
See, now you gotta play fucking Resident Evil on stream, talking it up.
I can show you right now. Shit.
Now you gotta play it on stream. Maybe not today. Not today.
I mean, the thing is, dude, it can go up to 20 minutes, believe it or not. That's how much time you actually save up. And the thing is, you see there's like, 3 times they're all 3 minutes. Like, oh, okay, max 12. Nah, bro, you go 20 minutes. Think about it, you somehow added 6 minutes for meleeing, bro. That's how much you be beating that ass. There's even secret bosses. I found that out later on, too. I was like, wait, there's bosses? And you have to do special conditions to get them in. Again, aim
Does
for
not.
It really, really doesn't. I don't know why. I mean, I guess you figure it out, but dude, one of them you have to get counters. One of them you have to do a 7-second melee. Another one is you have to do quick shots. I'm like, and the thing is, it can be for any map. It's like it's random for whatever the map is. You know, stuff like it. Bitch, the volcano, and I hate. Oh, quick shots. I'm like, dude, enemies are the first to quick shot. Why in this?
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Well, I mean, I think, yeah, I think acceptable job for today. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll figure out how to probably wrap this up in the future. How we want to.
Oh no, this is good. It's like
But-
that. Like I said, it's a vibecast. That's why.
Right.
Podcast.
I mean,
I mean, as far as the recording, we're good. It's all. Then of course I normally